Reisner, and I'm an MBA student at the Foster School of Business, and I'm here with Emelina Berkshire, Nikki Kiga, and Mackenzie Schnell, and they are all undergraduates at the University of Washington. We're part of a group of 22 students who are on the Half the Sky study tour program this summer. We spent 4 weeks in India, traveling all over southern India, studying about socially responsible business models, women's leadership, and the way that the culture is changing in the face of the creative destruction of capitalism and globalization. It was a very diverse group of students. We had freshmen all the way to recent graduates, and I was the MBA student on the trip. We also had a variety of majors. We had political science, women's studies, business, entrepreneurship. We also had several international students from China, Romania, and Thailand. So we came with a variety of backgrounds and diverse opinions and perspectives. So it gave us a very interesting lens to see India through and added to the richness of our discussions on the trip. We got the opportunity to meet leaders and change makers in a variety of industries, from banking to handicrafts and for-profits and nonprofits, everything in between. We traveled on trains, planes, and auto rickshaws, and we spent many hours on buses. We watched Bollywood movies, and our favorite was Three Idiots. If you haven't gotten a chance to watch it, we all loved it. It's kind of our mantra through the trip to say all is well whenever anything was a little bit overwhelming. But it's very difficult to summarize 4 weeks of an intense experience like that in a very short presentation. So we're each going to share some of our personal stories and experiences with you, just to highlight some of the most important things that we learned. We did have some common experiences on the trip, however. We all saw that there is an incredible optimism for the economic progress in India. There's an entrepreneurial spirit there that we hadn't experienced back home the same way. That really touched all of us. And we also saw that business impacts every corner of society. A lot of the liberal arts students were really impacted by this. They hadn't quite realized how important business and international trade is to every single person that we met on this trip.
So one of the most inspiring experiences for me on our trip was our visit to Aravind Eye Hospital. As many of you may know, Aravind is world-renowned for its remarkable business model. About 2 weeks into our trip, we visited one of Arvind's branches in Pondicherry. And as a business major trying to make a positive impact in the world, I'm always interested in opportunities that are both meaningful, yet you can still pay the bills. Aravind showed me that in some cases, it is possible to have it all. When we walked into the Aravind Hospital, I immediately noticed how it differed from right outside its doors. It was quiet, the walls were unadorned, and the floor was spotless. I was amazed to learn that the Pondicherry Hospital in particular treats 75% of its patients for free. On a hospital tour, we learned that Aravind has opened 9 new hospitals since inauguration. And after a little break for samosas and tea, we learned that those hospitals are funded by the profits of its predecessors. While at first I was skeptical that new hospitals are being funded by the profits of other hospitals, I learned that Aravind has a unique pricing system that allows this to be possible. The pricing system is based not necessarily on what the procedure costs, but on how much each various patient can pay. Our group was particularly interested in how the hospital was using modern technology to connect doctors in the city to people without healthcare in remote villages. Technology was managing to connect two very different socioeconomic groups, while still managing to spread the entrepreneurial spirit we grew to associate with India. Throughout our trip, we encountered ambitious people all over that were contributing to the economic explosion that's going on in India right now. Aravind too was doing its part to contribute. By training young women from remote villages, they are introducing a relatively new group of people into the business world. While they admit to high turnover rates that are associated when you hire young women, they said it was still a win-win situation. Some of the girls that we met with who were working for Aravind said that they not only gained money to send home to their families, but also an education and work experience that they otherwise wouldn't have had access to. In turn, Arvin appreciates the dedication and focus of the young women. Through expansion, Arvin is not only alleviating more needless blindness, but also contributing to India's ever-growing economy and workforce. Arvin stuck out to me because it showed me that it's possible to both be a social business and a profitable one. They are having a huge impact eliminating blindness while still being profitable and gaining the respect of business people worldwide. By catering to the specific needs and skills of the people in the various locations they work, they are literally changing the way people see India.
That was actually something that we noticed was a huge trend in a lot of the businesses that we observed in India, was how much businesses were balancing both for-profit measures and also basically non-for-profit measures. So it's really amazing to see that companies were able to use what's actually, we use the term a lot, corporate social responsibility, and how that's kind of a big kind of topic and a little bit debatable, but we saw a lot of it while we were in India, so that was really great. And it was amazing to see how much business can really influence cultural interactions as well as can really empower people. So one of my favorite businesses that we actually visited was Grameen Kuda, which provides long-term and short-term loans to a group of women who actually elect 2 members of their group to fund for that month. And so it was really great to see kind of the effects and how it trickled down not only to the women and what role they played in their own family, but also how it affected their daughters, their sons, and they were able to send their kids to school for longer periods of time. And actually one of the women that we talked to sent one of her daughters to engineering school, which was amazing to hear, and it was really incredible experience. And that all started with one loan to this family. So that was really incredible, and seeing how just one effort in one person's life can really have a trickle-down effect to younger generations and can really affect, that mentality for other people as well. So it's really great. And what was really kind of a surprising observation for us was how steep these interest rates were. People were accepting loans at 18 to 30%, and here in the U.S. we have loan rates that are much lower. So it really kind of put our own lives in perspective and the opportunities that we have, and really kind of incentivized us to really look at our own lives and how can we take advantage of the opportunities that we do have here, because we are very lucky to have a lot of those. Another company that I was really interested in was Tata, and I actually had kind of was unsure about how to go into it and how I was going to feel about this company, but it was really great to kind of see one of their more philanthropic efforts in Munnar, where they have a lot of tea plantations and the land is very beautiful, very rich. And they were actually taking what would have otherwise been waste products from their tea efforts and using it to create natural products such as handmade paper, strawberry jam, preserves, and all the while they were providing jobs to people with disabilities, which was really great to see. And it was amazing to see that this company was able to fund that and create these opportunities for people that would otherwise be discriminated against in their society. So it was really raising awareness about how both mental and physical disabilities can be overcome and how they can actually work with people, and there is a person behind that disability. So that was really amazing to be able to observe. And basically what it came down to is really great to see all these kind of full circle cycles where one loan can create such a difference in an entire family, and how one job can create such a difference in one person's life and how they interact with those around them. So it's really great to see that, and it just reinforces the idea of how much business can open new doors for people and really create new opportunities.
So as well as witnessing the manner in which business can impact lives and empower individuals, I think we are all amazed, especially for us non-business majors, by the way in which business interconnects all types of people from all levels of society. I have a story that I think serves well as an anecdote, the way in which business is able to connect diverse peoples. This is a story about my friend Shazia. During our trip, we visited a small village. Our goal was to build a rainwater tank in that village. My job was to bake an already built tank, and a 10-year-old girl decided that would be her job too. That little girl was Shazia. Shazia did not speak a word of English, and we could only exchange our names. Shazia and I spent several hours painting the water tank. Although no words were spoken, a very special connection was made, and finishing the tank was an accomplishment we both shared. As the day ended and our bus was driving away, Shazia chased the bus until it stopped. She then proceeded to hand me her notebook, so that I would always remember her and that day. Although Shazia and I came from completely different places and cultures, we shared a connection that enlightened and bettered me as a human being. I I was able to understand and appreciate someone so different than me, just by the simple interaction of painting a water tank. I use the anecdote of Shazia because I think it's symbolic of the importance and necessity of international relations, specifically international trade. Like Shazia's in my cross-cultural interaction, international trade will too lead to betterment and enlightenment. Being a student of the liberal arts field, I never fully understood the encompassing nature of business. I incorrectly thought that business only existed in high-rise office buildings and between powerful CEOs. My trip to India taught me that business is everywhere and it interconnects all facets of society. After a month of analyzing businesses ranging from emphasis to entrepreneurial carpet weavers, I'm in complete awe of the positive possibilities that business ensues and stimulates, especially internationally. Although I view the development of business and capitalism through a positive perspective, there are some negative consequences of globalization that cannot be ignored. The extreme amounts of trash and pollution in some areas were unbelievable. The devastation to traditional agricultural societies was heart-wrenching. Seeing these consequences firsthand provoked my understanding that there is a social responsibility to globalization that cannot be overlooked. Globalization and international interconnectedness is a powerful movement that can improve the lives of thousands, maybe even millions. But there must be a high level of accountability for all those involved, or else extreme amounts of trash, pollution, and devastation will only increase. As our trip throughout India came to a close, our group started to ask ourselves what we learned and what we planned on taking home with us. Something the entirety of our group acknowledged was the immense and undeniable amount of optimism that the people of India possessed. This optimism was found in the youth of India, who swore that by attaining an education, anything was possible. This optimism was found in the recipients of microfinance loans, who were determined to establish and improve their lives and the lives of their families. This optimism radiated from the business leaders we met with, that were unwavering about using business as a means of improving the lives of the people of India. This optimism shows in the booming economy of India that we spent so much time studying. With business and optimism comes opportunity, and that is a theme that was very apparent on our journey. So I'd like to close by thanking you for this opportunity of allowing us to share our trip, and thank you for your time.
I think we have a few minutes, like maybe 3 or 4 questions if you have any.
I don't need, so how are you gonna keep helping, any of the NGOs, or how will you stay involved? That's anybody.
Okay, well, I'll answer that. We had did a variety of things while we were in India, but we visited one NGO. What was it where we went to see Lara?
Reality tours.
Yeah, reality tours, and they have this amazing program for incorporating women in soccer, and they say that it builds confidence in all the women they visited, and I know us three were very involved with it since we all played soccer, so right now we plan on raising money and setting it back so they can have their team and equipment and be sponsored by us.
I think we also learned that throughout the course of our trip that kind of the best way we can help other people is by doing what we are good at the best we can. And so for some people that might be, if they're studying business, working with businesses in the future, but for other people it might be doing whatever that they are good at the best they can.
World ending is very interesting and prominent in a lot of countries right now. Was the one that you encountered there sponsored by a community-based organization or someone from another country to get it started?
So the NGO that we visited, Grameen Kuta, was actually started by a Montessori teacher. She worked at a school that was funded by an NGO, but now this microfinance institution is being funded through socially responsible investment, and they are paying back all of the investors that are in this organization. So it's not being funded by NGOs. They have kind of 2 separate branches of the organization. There's the side that does microfinance lending, and that's fully sustainable through investment. And then they take a portion of their profits and they're putting it back into schools, building some remote village schools for like preschoolers who don't normally have access to education until they're old enough to take a bus to school. So it's kind of an interesting hybrid of for-profit and nonprofit. Yeah.
So the question still applies, and that is if you could cite maybe 1 or 2 examples, a success story of how that helped somebody, start a business. That would really be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Some of the examples we saw was So each member would kind of apply for a different startup that they wanted. One woman actually had a sari business, so she would create saris, and actually two of our members of our group purchased some saris for her. And so she was able to use those funds to send her children to school and also to get kind of basic necessities for her household. And then another example we saw was a woman actually applied for an auto rickshaw with her husband, which can make a huge difference for a family if the husband's able to, create that business and become part of an auto rickshaw company and, be able to bring in more money for the family, which is basically what it came down to.
Any more questions? On the right.
Thank you. Did your travels inspire you to start a new company, or what kind of career choice do you see for yourself? And also, have you also traveled to other parts of the country, other parts of the world? Excuse me.
So maybe we can each
Yeah,
get a really quick way and then finish off.
I've traveled a little bit more. I've been through Europe and I've been to Thailand, and those were also through study tours, so I got to study similar subjects. For me personally, it had a huge impact on my career. Part of why I wanted to go to India is in my previous work, I had worked with call centers in India and Hyderabad and Bangalore. And honestly, it was kind of a dysfunctional relationship. My company didn't take the time to understand the culture. We didn't train properly. In many ways, it was a very difficult relationship. But I also have a lot of friends and colleagues who are from India, and so I really wanted to understand what hadn't worked well and how I could do much better in the future. Because I think for my career, I'm definitely going to be working internationally. I'm finishing an MBA and I'm hoping to work in consulting. I used to work at Amazon, and so I'm thinking about going back into tech, so who knows? I'm not sure exactly. But there's a high likelihood I'm going to be working with people in India and from India. So for me, yes, it also inspired me to start a business. I have taught improvisation for leadership classes. I was using theater games to teach leadership skills. And I kind of started dabbling with it, but while I was there, it really made me want to pursue it more and take it to the next level. And also use it as a way that people who are new to this country can learn about American culture in a way that's like really fun and safe. So that was exciting for me to finally kind of just say, yes, I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna kind of be wishy-washy about it. So that's my story.
Yeah, I've traveled. I've been to Spain and Portugal and some other places in Europe and also South America. And for the other part of your question, I'm a business major right now, but I've always been really interested in working with nonprofits and also women in leadership and how empowering young girls can affect a society dramatically. So our trip definitely reinforced that passion in me, and I would really hope to work with a nonprofit and with girls. I'm not sure if that'll be internationally or not, but we'll see how it goes.
So before this trip, I was actually planning on being a biology major. So kind of really outside my field of interest, but after this trip, I'm actually planning on applying to the business school in the spring since I'm a sophomore. Because it really just inspired so much, and really business is all-encompassing. It affects really so many different people and can really, it isn't just, corporate meetings or anything like that. So it really kind of inspired me to try to do more with that. And I would love to work internationally, and actually one of the best things about this trip was we got constantly offered internship positions and made a lot of great contacts, and everybody was just so friendly and so effusive with so much excitement about American students coming to India and interested in their business, interested in their lives, and interested in what they were doing. So it was really great to kind of see that excitement, and it really kind of inspired me to go back. I know I definitely want to within the next few years.
I had traveled abroad previously, but no place as amazing and eye-opening as India. Before this trip, like my whole life, I always knew I wanted to be an attorney. But before India, I was kind of losing that passion of why I wanted to do it. Then when we got there, it struck me that I wanted to do it because I wanted to help people. And I think now I want to be an attorney, and nothing against anyone who is in like an office building. I really want to be on the field, so I think something in human rights, something like that. And something that I think we all took away is that passion, success follows passion. I think that really ignited something in all of us and what we want to do with our careers.
how do you, as young ladies, how do you perceive that? The women, Indian women after down this line, say 20, 30 years down the line, it's been totally different society. How do you visualize that?
It's a really big question. I think there's still a lot to overcome for women in India. I think we, at least for me personally, I'm not going to speak for everyone, there is still, like, I had to stand in line separately to go to the movie theater. And that was really new for me. I've never had to stand in my own line to go see a movie as a woman. And so I think that there still are differences that need to be overcome. I think education is absolutely part of that. We were talking about these soccer camps for girls are empowering them, and their families are realizing too that their daughters can do so much more. So I definitely came away from this with realizing that education is absolutely critical for girls to be successful. And we had definitely a gender disparity on our trip. There were 3 boys and 19 girls. So we definitely had a little diversity there.
Yeah, I actually thought it was really interesting to observe how many women are in high positions in India, actually, because we actually met with a woman who worked for Deutsche Bank, who was a high executive. So it was really interesting kind of to hear her perspective on what it's like to be a high executive in a very corporate business, and how she, dealt with different challenges in the workplace of being a woman. And what it really came down to is just cultural differences. And on many levels, India might be considered ahead of the US on kind of women's equality. I mean, they've had a women's president and they've had 2 women prime ministers, while the US has only had a woman in the Secretary of State position. So, it's not like any one format is better than the other. Both can kind of learn from both cultures. So it's very interesting to kind of come back with that mixed representation and kind of use that in our own lives and kind of observe, there is sexism in the US, that's undeniable, and it's just different ways of being expressed.